All right, all right, all right. How's it going today, family? Another day on the right side of the dirt. Another day to get better. Work on changing the way we see things so we can live the life we want to live. It's another video on anxiety. We got cut loose from work early today because of the snow. For the past, 3-4 days, we've been completely rearranging the warehouse. Everything is strewn all over the place. Nothing's where it's supposed to be. Complete disorganization. People are doing stuff they're not used to doing. And if there's any time in our work day or the time that we have worked there, other than when we moved from our last location to this location, it's probably the one time that's most likely to cause anxiety in people. But yeah, another day. I got off work early, came home, watched a little bit of spiritual TV, and took a nap. And just woke up and had my phone on the charger. I was going to make a video earlier, but I changed a light bulb that was burnt out up here, and I can tell that the lighting is different. So yeah, I've been looking into some material that's coming up after the anxiety, and I'm excited to get to it. But I'm going to get right into the next little part of the anxiety information, pointing out what it is, how to recognize it, some techniques that we can use to combat it. So we left off with fortune telling, looking into the future and predicting the outcome of an event, a situation, the presentation of some facts, how the outcome was going to be. And this is just another form of fortune telling. It's just an exaggerated form called catastrophizing. So like making everything a catastrophe. But exaggerating a threat may actually be the mind's attempt to ready itself for danger. However, this only tends to create more problems and more upset. When we catastrophize, we are over-preparing. In one sense, catastrophizing is simply fortune-telling which has proceeded to the worst possible conclusion. The person is anticipating horrendous outcomes. As a result, he or she may start to feel immobilized. That's how I was feeling when my brother called me and told me he was going to prison, and I thought my mom was going to have to move up here and I was going to have to change my entire life around a little bit. But that's how I felt, paralyzed, immobilized. I don't know why. I haven't really looked into that much more since I started looking at it objectively and looked at the facts, and then the whole situation changed. So there I was, worrying and becoming anxious over a situation, predicting the future outcome, fortune telling, catastrophizing, and that outcome never even happened. So all right. So basically, catastrophizing thoughts, or any type of thoughts, fortune-telling thoughts, mind-reading thoughts, negative thoughts, whatever thoughts, they can be stacked on top of each other and produce what we call a chain of thoughts, sort of like links in a chain. One thought produces the next and it leads to a next. or it can be called a train of thoughts, like rail cars on a train, thoughts that are pulled by other thoughts. You can kind of give a small example of that. All right, so this dude's getting ready to do a presentation or something, and here's a chain of thoughts, a train of thoughts that he or she is experiencing. And this is the first presentation that I'm making at this new job. I need to do everything just right. I've got to be better than everybody else. I can't have a single mistake if I am going to survive at this place. If I make a mistake, I'll look like a blubbering idiot. It will be all over then. My competition will never let me recover. So that's like one negative thought after another. And if you can't tell, that is so when a person focuses on an ultimate catastrophic outcome, it starts to seem more and more likely that it will occur. Now this one is titled Emotional Reasoning. In anxiety, people may feel a sense of danger so strongly that they don't feel they need any concrete evidence that something bad is really about to happen. It is as if the person is saying to themselves, I feel that there is some danger here, therefore it must be. This is basing the thought on the feeling rather than the feeling on the thought. So I've been saying in all my videos and the information that I've been taught that we come into a situation or an event or a particular presentation of facts, and we see those situations, events, or presentation of facts through our belief system, which are long-lasting, powerful thoughts, and that the way we perceive the situation creates thoughts, and that we experience emotion and thoughts from, or emotions and feelings from those thoughts. Okay, well, this is the opposite. This is basing the thought on the feeling rather than the feeling on the thought. Emotional reasoning. The most logical way to react to a situation is to look at all the evidence and then come to a conclusion about whether it poses a threat. After reaching a conclusion in this way, then it may be logical to feel anxious. Human beings, however, don't always react logically, and in emotional reasoning, thoughts are based on feelings rather than the other way around. You get that? Okay? So in that situation, the feeling came and then the thoughts came. Evidently, that's not logical. And it is kind of opposite of what I've been taught. So in emotional reasoning. All right. This heading is all or nothing thinking. This type of thinking sees success and failure as the only two possible outcomes of any effort. One must always do one's best. Mistakes are failures, and minor failures are big failures. Simply doing average work is seen as mediocre. This line of thought leads to so much pressure for the individual that they sometimes experience excessive performance anxiety. The speech being given or the test being taken are not just tasks to be performed adequately or competently. They must be completed perfectly, or else the person believes that they will have failed. I used to be like that. I almost didn't even start this YouTube channel because I wanted to do it perfectly, and if I didn't do it perfectly, it wasn't right, and I was waiting for the right circumstance, waiting until I had everything perfect. And I changed that one day. I just sat down and made that first video. That's video number 1. But raising the stakes in this way, by raising the stakes in this way, a situation which might only have produced mild stress can now cause considerable nervousness and even panic. So this is it says applying cognitive therapy methods, and it says using the 4-column method or technique. So basically, thinking reports, which we're going to get into, thought records. I gave a couple of examples in, I think, fortune telling, where you make a list of all these fortune telling thoughts that you are having and worrying about, and then recording whether the outcome that you were anticipating or worried about actually occurred. But using thinking reports and thought records to analyze situations, thoughts, beliefs, feelings, the outcomes and consequences and results of actions, and the actions and all that. So these are used to analyze thoughts that are producing anxiety and depression, and then challenging those thoughts. So it doesn't have to just be this. We're talking about anxiety, so this is referring to anxiety and depression and worry and fear and all that. But those thinking reports that I will get into sharing with you guys in later videos can be used to analyze the thoughts that are producing undesirable emotions in us, and then challenging those thoughts. Okay? And in stressful situations, some questions that you can actually use to challenge the thought is, am I overreacting to this situation in any way? What are the positives to the situation that I may be overlooking? What are the resources that I have to draw upon? Am I jumping to conclusions in any way? Am I mind reading, fortune telling, catastrophizing? If I am fortune telling, what is the evidence that this is going to happen? Have I been in this situation before, and did my worries come true then? So that's a few questions that it gives here that you can ask yourself in stressful situations. All right, I'm going to read one more little thing here. And it's resolve to quit. This is the heading. Resolve to quit avoiding the sources of your anxiety. The natural effect of anxiety is to avoid what is feared. Avoidance may be used as a short-term strategy, but in the long term, it prevents persons from dealing with problem situations. Thinking reports and thought records, those are for dealing with, sorting out, analyzing problem situations. You probably know it's a problem situation if it is producing negative, undesirable outcomes, results, consequences. It is almost impossible to overcome anxiety about something if one never encounters it. Avoidance can prevent us from getting what we want out of life. We gradually constrict our activities and retreat from more and more situations. This is an insidious process. That is, it is slow, not necessarily obvious, and creates major problems for the individual. Imagine the front at a World War I battlefield. The different forces are dug in. There is very little movement one way or the other because both sides are so entrenched. If territory is given up, it must be won back at great cost. Anxiety is somewhat like that. It is much easier to give up a part of one's life than to get it back. It is important to refuse to give an inch of your life to anxiety. If you are doing public speaking and it causes you anxiety, don't stop. If you are socializing, don't stop. If you are taking tests in a course, don't stop. The one exception to this would be if your anxiety is so disabling that by staying in the situation you may cause further problems for yourself in the future. Overcoming avoidance has three purposes. The first is to decrease the anxiety itself. For many persons, exposure to anxiety-provoking situations eventually retrains the brain not to be afraid of them. So for many persons, exposure to the anxiety-provoking situation, so not avoiding it, exposing yourself to it, eventually retrains the brain not to be afraid of them. This is called exposure. Secondly, overcoming avoidance means that you, and not your anxiety, are in control of your life. Left unchecked, avoidance can be like the blob in the old monster films. It just keeps taking and growing and taking and growing. Finally, when persons are attempting to work on negative thoughts causing anxiety and avoidance, it is often not clear exactly what the thoughts are. Avoidance may have resulted in the original negative thoughts fading into the background. To be able to work on negative thought patterns, which is what this whole thing is about, it is necessary to know what the thoughts are. And this may require you to approach the feared situations. Well, family, that was, I think, video number 7. Might even be number 8 on anxiety. We're getting there. We're getting down there. We're about to wrap it up on this handout, this material that I was given. But I'm going to get into the thing that I do at the end of every video, and that is read out of my journal that I did at the Challenge Incarceration Program almost 14 years ago when I went through intensive inpatient treatment for my 5th drunk driving. And remember, I have 6 of them. So if I went through this program for my 5th, I got released, right? I got a 6th. But October 23rd, 2011 is what this journal entries are from. What was positive and what was negative about today? Positive for me today was the AA meeting. The topic of temptation and some feedback I heard gave me insight. The negative for today was I had difficulty figuring out how to use the Pythagorean theorem to calculate the impedance of an electrical circuit. Okay. I thought I had already finished that vocational course of electrical and electronics. Maybe I took a second one. Yeah, I did. Electrical systems. Okay, what were the main feelings I experienced today? I was feeling content today because I have accepted things for what they are and am open to learn what I can. What helped me make it through the day? My vocational work gave me a way to stay busy while doing something positive. What did I learn today? A Y-Y transformer connection is seldom used because of the disturbance it causes in communications equipment. Okay. So they use transformers to step voltage up and down. Um, yeah. So usually at a telephone pole, the big round things on top of the telephone pole there, that's a transformer. Little green boxes you hear humming next to the bike trails or whatnot, next to neighborhoods, transformers. But yeah, that was the journal entries for today. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep pushing forward. Never give up. Just because we've done something so long does not mean we have to keep doing it. Thanks.